I realized at the time, but I think I realize now that it has everything to do with fulfillment.
Mm,
I think fulfillment is the key word there. And I look back and I think all of us are built this way where we need to feel fulfilled in our lives. And if we don't feel fulfilled, then we have increased depression, anxiety, suicide rates, all the negative things that we don't want any part of. And all of us have times where we kind of dip into that, but it's about course correction, right? And so
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's SHF Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. As always, I have an incredible guest today, which I'm very excited to talk with and talk about. But before I introduce him to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving reviews on all the major podcasting platforms, Google, Spotify, everywhere, Apple, right? And to those who have been watching on YouTube, I want to thank you as well. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for leaving reviews. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. And all of you guys who, 99% of people, most people, never take the time to leave a review or comment or anything like that. But the 1% of you who do are the ones who make all the difference. So I want to ask you that if you get any value out of this episode, if you get any value that is life-changing, that I bet will be very valuable to you, I want to ask you to leave a comment, right? To give me some feedback, leave a like. And I want to thank you for that, because to all of you who do that, you are the ones who make all the difference. That's how we grow. So that's how we spread our message. And that's how we motivate, inspire, and bless other people to with the tool sets, the tactics, the strategies to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their business, and have it all. So today I have with me Eric Gubler. Gubler or Gubler, man?
Gubler. It's a
Awesome.
German name.
Cool.
I've heard a lot worse than Gubler though, so that's pretty good.
All right, Gubler. Eric Gubler. And he's a firm believer in God, just like me. And he's a husband, father, entrepreneur, realtor, storage owner, and investor. And I'm very excited to talk about all of those things. So welcome, man. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to jam with you a little bit today.
For sure, yeah. So man, the first thing that I do with my guest is I ask them to, introduce themselves and tell us about their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Oh man. Okay, well here we go. I mean, I remember the first time I remember ever doing anything entrepreneurial. I was just mowing some neighbors' lawns, and kind of realized that hey, I can make money without doing it 9 to 5. And I think that was sparked the first realization that hey, you don't need to have a traditional job in order to make money. And that was probably when I was like 10. I did a couple family, friends, neighbors' lawns, and made enough to buy the things that I wanted as a kid. And then I went and served an LDS mission for 2 years. That taught me how to knock on doors, talk to people, network with people. That was key. The other thing when I got home is I did door-to-door sales with a company called Aptiv. It was Altera at the time, learned how to sell that way. And then after I was done with that, I realized I didn't want to go and live in other places. I wanted to be able to stay in my hometown and be able to do sales here. So I was trying to find the fit. I got married, and I didn't even have a real job. I was just sitting on some cash that I made from summer sales. When I got married, I didn't even have a real job, quote unquote. So I don't really know why my wife married me, because I didn't really have a job. We joke about that all the time. But what I started doing is we had this vision to get into real estate. And in order to do that, we decided to start a moving company, get my real estate license, and then we wanted to eventually own storage units. And so we started by flipping furniture. We started by going on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and we were bringing in. I was just me doing it. She was working full-time job, and we realized that, hey, I was making more money, maybe making $3,000 a month, at that time. And she was maybe bringing in 2,000, and it was just by finding furniture that was used online while I was going to school, and then reselling it. And then it was like, oh, hey, well, with our moving company, we can move people, and then sometimes they don't want their stuff, so we'll make money by moving them, and then we'll take their furniture that they have and sell that on Facebook. We'll make some more money there, and that'll support us as I go get my real estate license. And then it was, how can we use the people that we're moving to be able to, tell them what I'm doing in real estate, so that when they want to move, I can also sell their house. And it just kind of kept churning. We had this master plan about 5.5 years ago. And it's really cool because the last piece of that, and I've probably gone over 70 seconds, but the last piece of that, we want to get into storage units, and they're being built right now. 5 acres. It's a $6 million deal that we're a part of. And we are super pumped to be able to live that dream and to continue to create that dream. So that's a little bit about me from start to finish of being an entrepreneur. Finish, I can't say finish, but to today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. We're always a work in progress, right? So that's cool, man. That's a very interesting story. And you realized at a very early age how you don't need a 9 to 5 to make money, right? That's really cool. There's this that story, right? It comes up with, it's very common among entrepreneurs, right? Like every time I interview, there's always the entrepreneur that has been an entrepreneur since he was a little kid. Like for me, I went to school in the US. I lived in Mexico, would cross back and forth. And like in the US, the kids wanted things from Mexico, like chips and candy and stuff. So I bought them in Mexico, and then I crossed with them, and then I sold them there, right? And I would make like $200 per week doing that, which was back in 2010. It was a lot, especially for like a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old. So that's cool, right? That's a cool realization to have at a very young age. And what I want to ask you is, like, why were you mowing lawns? Like, did you need to, like, did your parents sent you, or did they say you have to earn your own stuff? Like, why did you have the opportunity to do that?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I don't know if I realized at the time, but I think I realize now that it has everything to do with fulfillment. I think fulfillment is the key word there. And I look back, and I think all of us are built this way, where we need to feel fulfilled in our lives. And if we don't feel fulfilled, then we have increased depression, anxiety, suicide rates, all the negative things that we don't want any part of. And all of us have times where we kind of dip into that, but it's about course correction, right? And to some more extreme than others. But for me, I look back at all of that, and it was always fulfillment, which was, how can I push myself? How can I see the gain, right, in my life, and how far I've come? And in sports, it was the same way. I was a baseball player. I also played professional pickleball for a little bit. So I played a high level of sports in a couple different sports. And for me, it was the same thing. It was always, how can I push myself towards that fulfillment? And I think we all need that. And so I'm a firm advocate of becoming an entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur, because in my mind, it's God's greatest blessing to us to create like he creates. He's the greatest creator. And by being an entrepreneur, we were able to create value and then distribute that value to other people. And I didn't realize that at the time. I think I realize that now, and I'm continuing to learn more about that now. I'm a student of it. But I think that's why. I think that's why people want to get into it, and they don't even realize that that's why they want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. So like this innate crave, I can say maybe for fulfillment, for like wanting to be more, right? Wanting to do more. This, so fulfillment. You get fulfillment from two things, according to Tony Robbins. from like growth, right, and impact. So like you always want to be growing, you always want to be to see like what are you made of. And the bad thing here is that like we all have that, as you said, but the difference is like a choice, right? Like either you, and then also this is based on your environment and who you surround yourself with and where you live and all of that, but it's a choice to either wanting to get that sense of significance and, you know, like from doing bad stuff or doing good stuff. In your case, you know, you decided to do good stuff. I decided to do good stuff as well, but then later on I decided to, you know, get my sense of significance with bad stuff, right? And then another thing, so God, man, yeah, like we're created in his image, right, to create. And the one thing that I came across the other day is, you know, like God, omnipotent, all powerful, almighty, right, he like he thinks and he literally creates, right? That's how he created the universe in 7 days, by thinking about it, right? And that's the blessing that he gave us. That's the gift that he gave us, the ability to create, the ability to think, the ability to imagine, right? But the like he thinks and he creates instantly. That's his power, right? All powerful. But we have the same power, but what determines the speed at which we can turn our thinking into a creation is our ability to like focus and like work and be disciplined and live aligned, right, with like who we are and what we want. And I just wanted to throw that in because I learned that recently, and I was like, holy shit, I was like blown away by that.
I got to add to that too. You know, I have a buddy, his name's Brody Fawcett. I don't know if you know him, but we used to be middle school wrestling partners, and Brody's always pushed me. He's now, you know, he was door-to-door salesman for 8-9 years, and then now he's doing his real estate investing class. All
Brody
online,
Kern?
and he's crushing at that. Brody Fawcett.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things I learned from him, I was at his mastermind retreat with maybe 10 to 15 other guys down in Vegas this last year. And his mantra, I don't screw it up, hopefully, but it's first you need to dream it, then you need to write it, then you build it, and then you live it. And I love that because it's exactly what you're saying with God, right? Like, yeah, you know, it's so easy for him in a way. Well, we don't really know. We don't know him that well. I mean, we have our image of what he is, but we know that he is the great creator, the master creator, right? For us, I think we get stuck on dreaming it too much. We just get stuck there. You know, we have these dreams and these goals, and we have that passion inside of us, but then we don't do anything about it, man. And that's that is the biggest shame, because we just need to write it down. And then if we write it down, and we can actually, what me and my wife do is we write our daily plans every single night together, and we have weekly plans. We have our big goals of what we want. So we're very intentional about what we want to create, and we write it down every day, so that then we can build it, and then we can live it. We can live the life we want, and it's been one of the greatest reasons why we are where we're at today, and why we're headed in the right direction where we want to go.
That's amazing, man. Man, one of the things that I really admire, right, that I've heard on another podcast that I came across to you, and that you're saying right now, that it's how you do things with your wife, right, and you're intentional about it. So earlier right now, you mentioned how, you know, you sat down with your wife and you came up with like a 10-year vision plan of how you wanted to start you know, like a moving company, and how you were going to do it. That's really rare, right? Like sitting down on your own to like plan a year ahead, it's rare. Like, let alone sitting down with your wife and getting clear together. And not only that, but like doing it for like 10 years down the road. That's really rare, and it's crazy, and it's really powerful, right? And
yeah, I gotta be honest with that too. As crazy as my wife, she was the one that suggested it 5.5 years ago. She's like, we should really write these down. And I'm like, yeah, we should. So I give all credit to my wife for starting us off on that. It wasn't me, it was her. But we worked together on it. And now with 2 kids, you know, she's with the kids a lot of the time, but we're a team for sure. And I think that is so key in today's world, to stay strong as a family unit. Family is everything. And if we're as men just driving hard in business every single day, and we're missing out on the joys of life, we've got to do it together, and we've got to get more intentional about doing it together as a couple and as a family. needs to be the family unit, not just me as the provider. And I think we miss that a lot as men because we have that like old traditional, just kind of almost prehistoric DNA mindset that we're born with of just go grind, work hard, and then you forget sometimes about the most important things in your life. So it's cool you brought that up because I did want to touch on that. I'm a firm believer in including your family, including your spouse, even if at first it feels like you're taking a step back in your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you will far outperform with your goals more. You'll do more than if you were trying to do it by yourself.
Cool. Including your wife, right? So like it's like hiring, right? A lot of entrepreneurs hold themselves back because they think that if like they think that they're the only ones that can do the thing, right? And that if they hire someone and they have to train them, they think that they're wasting time. So like doing things with your wife and making sure that you're on the same page, that takes time and takes effort, it takes intentionality. And like you said, you might feel like you're holding yourself back, investing all of this time, and you don't even know that it's gonna work. But when it does work, like holy shit, like she's the best supporter partner that you can have, right? So man, I want to ask you, how do you include your wife?
Yeah, I mean, so that daily planning, we talked about it a while. That's the first step, and that's going to be the easiest thing for everybody to do that's listening to this podcast. Is and if you want, I can share a link with you to the daily plans that we use. But that's the first step, right? A lot of times couples, they share a calendar on their phone if you have a smartphone, right? And you kind of know a little bit of what they're doing at this time and a little bit about what they're doing at this time, and both spouses, that's how they think that they're communicating. But what we realized is, but I don't know what your dreams are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you want to accomplish in life. But yet we're supposed to be one, right? That's the scriptures say we should be one, right? When we get married. And so we realized, well, we've got to communicate every day. And that was the daily plan. So we go over our tasks for the day. We go over our goals, the habits that we're trying to make or break in our lives. We talk about those. We ask for help from the other person and keeping committed, staying committed to those goals. That's my advice for anybody listening that wants to be in better harmony with their spouse, with their goals. If you're really driven person and you have goals, do it with your wife and daily plan, weekly plan, set your big goals together and support each other.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Just to add to that, right? Dreams, goals, values. You gotta get to know her dreams, her goals, her values. She has to get to know yours. And like you said, you gotta become one. And it's just crazy to me, man, that like I was raised in a Mexican household in which, well, with a stepdad, right? But in which like my stepdad and my mom, like they literally didn't know each other, right? Like they would hide their phone from each other. And like, still now I go back to my hometown, right, to visit my family. And, I always hear about like infidelity problems and like it's just crazy to me, man. Like, how could you even, I don't know. I just, like for anyone out there listening, right, for any entrepreneur that might be fooling around, right? They might be thinking about, I don't know, like fooling around or getting with this and other chick. Like, that is the worst thing that you can do for your business, right? If you think that won't affect your business, that like not having a good relationship with your wife is probably the one thing, the biggest thing that will not let you get your business off the ground and get it to you where you want it to be. What do you say on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the mind shift needs to be that family is before business, right? Because the family is the why you have. That's why you're creating. Who are you creating it for? You're creating it for your spouse and your kids. I mean, that's how I look at it, right? So if you want to live like nobody else can live and give like nobody else can give, you need to do that with your family. And I think we just miss that sometimes. We can have literally anything. And I truly believe this. I sat in bed the other night with my wife and we were talking before we went to bed like we usually do. And we're sitting in bed and I just turned to her and I said, sweetheart, we just got done with the parade of homes, and there was homes that were beautiful homes, 5-6 million purchase price, beautiful homes, pool, balconies, workout room. I mean, all the latest and greatest everything, 10,000 square feet, beautiful homes. And I turned to her and I said, if we want that, which we know what our dream home is going to look like, and we keep doing the things that we're doing right now, I told her, I said, I have no doubt in my mind, none, that we're going to get there. None, not a sliver of doubt. And that's fulfillment right there. To do that together with your, and she turned to me and she said, you're right. Absolutely. And we're both on that same page, and we want it together. We want it with our family, not to have stuff, not to have things, not to have shiny this and that. It's because we have a dream. It's what we want our life to look like together as a couple. There's power there. And I want to share that because I think everybody feels that, but they don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They dream it, but they don't know how to write it, build it, live it. Right?
Cool. So you should be one, right? And if not, if you're not one, right, you'll get on this cycle of build and burn, like you see many stories that entrepreneurs have, right? They build and burn. They build a really successful business, but then they got a divorce and then they were bankrupt a couple of years later, right? So like you gotta be one. The way you do that is by doing daily planning, weekly planning, yearly planning, right? Getting to know each other's dreams, goals, values. For me, I set roles with my wife. So like if from the outside inside, you would think that, oh, Alex is he's making it. He's the real deal. But like my only role with my wife, with my marriage, is business. That's literally my only role. And like with her, she has like her role, and we have been intentional about communicating these with each other, right? About setting roles, so that there's no confusion or resentment. Her role is like our daughter, right? To like intentionally raise her the way we want for her to be raised. Intentionality is something that I never had growing up, right? And like most people don't have. So raising our daughter, her role is like if I'm slacking with our marriage, she has to let me know, hey man, like we have this thing called marriage power hour every single week, right? We get together with for an hour 2 times per week. So like she's responsible for that, for like letting me know that I have to put that on my calendar. And then also another of her role is like the house, right? So like I said, if like seeing it from the outside inside, you would think that like I'm the one making everything happen, but in reality she is, right? And we're a team, and like we are one, right? And that's really powerful.
Yeah. To add to what you're saying, vulnerability is also important for those listening. That's one of the things that we've had to learn the hard way, and being vulnerable and sharing things that we don't want to share, right? It's funny in our marriage, if I can share this, I don't know if we have time, but I'm going to share this real quick. I'll be fast. My wife has 5 sisters and I have 5 brothers. So in our marriage, she totally understands how a woman thinks because she had 5 sisters that she grew up around. And I totally understand, I feel like, how men think, but how that interacts together. Both of our parents had their own issues, just like we have our own issues. And so we just saw our parents, and that was the only example we had of somebody of the opposite sex. And so when we started off our marriage 5.5 years ago, we learned after the first couple of years that, hey, if we're going to make it, because we're struggling with our marriage. I don't want to paint this picture that I'm perfect. We all struggle, and we were struggling. And the biggest thing that helped us to keep it together and to thrive, I honestly feel like we're thriving right now. And if
Awesome.
she was here, she would say the same thing.
That's
because
great.
We're on the same page. But it was vulnerability. We weren't willing to share the things that were hard to share. The skeletons in the closet, or the things that we weren't proud of, or the thoughts that we had that we weren't proud of, or and being one, we just weren't. But now we are. And so and we went to marriage counseling. That helped us. It helped us to be able to kind of see where we lacked and where we could go.
Cool. So investing in your marriage, yeah, man. Like I'm 21, right? I wasn't born learning. I wasn't born knowing how to be a husband and a father. So I've also definitely invested time, money, and effort on like learning how, right, from people who have spent their lives, on like figuring out how to do that. So that's key, man. So man, I saw your one of your stories right now, and I saw how like you were planning. I actually saw your daily planning sheets that you use, and like you were doing it on paper, right? And did you get that from Darren Hardy?
Sorry.
Did you get that from Darren Hardy?
No,
No, no.
that's actually Brody, the one that I mentioned before.
Okay, so it's pretty similar, and I just wanted to say that if you can, man, like you. Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. You should buy an iPad, right? Because you buy an iPad and you download that like daily planning sheet to like as a page, and then every single day you just like make a copy, like duplicate that page, and then do this. Like if I was on this Zoom with my iPad, I would share my screen to show you, but like this iPad, man, is literally worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because of everything that I have here. But I plan my weeks, I plan my years, I plan everything, and I do it digitally. So like I don't use paper. Just a quick suggestion. Maybe you want to look into it sometime.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Yeah, I love the way that other people do what we're both doing. We're both trying to achieve. I love that. I love being able to hear what other people do that works for them. So thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing it.
Cool. So man, one of the things that I'm really interested about asking you is like you seem to know a lot or like be into psychology, man. Are you, or like have you read books on that or?
Yeah, totally. It's funny that you say that because my wife knows this. I gravitate to it. I think that came from the fact that I was homeschooled growing up. Because I was homeschooled as a kid, I've had people now say, I only knew one normal homeschooler my entire life, and it was you. And I take that as a huge compliment. But, when I was homeschooled, I always felt like I had a disadvantage because all the other kids were able to go and socialize in school, and I had to work harder at socializing. And so part of that compensation was, how do people work? I remember I must have been only like 8, 9 years old when I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Have you ever read that one?
Crazy. Yeah, I've had.
Dude, I was like so young because I had such a desire to understand how that worked. And so early on in my life, right? Like 8, 9 years old, I'm guessing. I remember sitting in my room at my parents' house and reading that book and understanding how social interactions work just because I wanted to get better at it. And it's never gone away. Just understanding how the brain works, how conversations work, how sales work, and just anything like the subconscious mind and how to think bigger, all of those things for sure is what I gravitate to. And it goes perfectly in line with being an entrepreneur. Perfect.
100%, man. Especially like the subconscious mind and like getting out of your own way and all of, and how you work, understanding how you work. Right. But like, understanding how other people work is also crucial because Like that's what
Yeah.
life and business is all about. People, right? So
Yeah.
what would be, I don't know, maybe one or a couple of things that you would like people to know, like based on like psychology or like what we're talking about? Like what would you want other entrepreneurs to know
Oh,
when it comes to this?
I would say the biggest thing that I tell people is your subconscious mind it can't take a joke. That
Mm,
was one of the biggest breakthroughs for me, honestly, is what we tell ourselves is what we're going to be and what we're going to do. And I love the thought of when you want to achieve a goal, you need to put it in the first person, present tense. So an example is you want to weigh a certain amount. So you say, I want to weigh 195 pounds. Okay, whatever your target weight is, that's for a guy. Um, and so what your subconscious mind says is, well, I'm not that because I want to. So it's out in the future. I want to. So then you change it to first person, I, present tense, enjoy, right? Enjoy is present, being 195 pounds. And you can substitute that with anything. So mine right now is I enjoy earning $1 million a year.
cool.
Right down 30 times. I enjoy earning $1 million a year. I did that. I've done that at every stage of my earning, and I haven't missed the mark yet. And what I've learned from that is, God, I wish I would have dreamed bigger at the start.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I wouldn't have set my first goal at 100,000, I hear that from. I just want to make six figures. God, six figures. If I made six figures, I'd be a bum year. I'd be so frustrated. But that was, and I think you do need to kind of go in increments because there's lessons that you learn along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But that subconscious mind, the first reaction when I tell people, hey, write a goal of I enjoy earning $300,000 a year, they go, whoa, that's a lot of money. I go, that thought right there, that's your subconscious mind.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
Man,
just
that's
need to break
powerful.
that.
Your subconscious can take a joke. That's powerful. And that's why like visualization works, right? So like if you visualize yourself being and doing and having everything that you want to be, do, and have, your subconscious cannot know the difference between what's real and what's not real, right? What's true and what's a joke. So like that's why it works. But on the flip side, that's why if you like yourself, negative self-talk, that's why that also works, right?
Yeah.
And then so like instead of saying I want, right? So like want is like saying that, oh, you're lacking, you don't have it, right? So
You don't have it yet.
instead of, yeah, so that drives it away, right? Because you're like a low vibrational level. I'm really passionate about this this woo stuff. And
Yeah.
the other thing with your subconscious mind is being specific, right? And setting specific goals. Because if you say like I want to lose weight, right, all of a sudden your subconscious mind is going to let you eat a little bit less food, and you're gonna drop half a pound. Well, that's you lost weight. You weren't specific about how much weight, right? Or if you, let's say you say I want to make more money, right? Well, your subconscious mind is gonna give you opportunities. You're gonna be walking around down the street and you're gonna see a penny. Well, now like that's more money right there, a penny, right? But if you're not specific, that's the problem that you can encounter. So like by being specific, I want $100,000 more, right? So you're specific, you have a goal, and then your subconscious mind starts to like work in your favor and come up with plans on how you can achieve that. So specificity, right? So
being intentional. Yeah, I call it being intentional, right? But specificity is another, for sure. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
That was great, man. I'm looking at the time and I was like we're almost out of time. So it's crazy how much I've enjoyed this and how fast time goes when you do something that you enjoy. And man, to like finish the interviews, I always ask my guests 5 questions. So can I go ahead and ask you the first one?
Yeah.
Cool. And I always ask this selfishly, man. So what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? So like not change anything, or like go back in time and change, no, just like give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would that be?
Fail faster. That's what I would tell myself. Fail faster. What that means to me is when you have a goal and you want to get somewhere, in reality, there's just a certain amount of failures in the way of you getting there. And people are too scared of failing. I'm not saying fail on purpose, but you just need to fail faster. And that just means don't be afraid to fail. Go take risks, go take shots, go after your dream. Don't let the fear of other people that haven't gotten there stand in your way. That's what fail faster is.
Yeah.
Just fail faster.
Fail faster and unplug yourself from the matrix, right? Realize, so like, for example, there's people that they want to do content or they want to start something, but they don't because they are afraid to fail. But what they're really afraid of is of what people will think of them when they fail, right? So like unplug yourself from the matrix and realize that like the insecurities where you're like your fear of losing people's validation, approval, and acceptance. Like people are literally in fear. They live in fear of losing the validation, approval, and acceptance of people that they don't even have the validation, approval, and acceptance from.
Yes.
So realize that and unplug yourself from the matrix and start failing. I love that, man.
Yes, absolutely.
The next question is around mindset. So look, what is one mindset shift that you've had that you can share with us that has allowed you to have your success that you've had in the last 5 years?
An abundance mindset.
Okay.
I would say there's plenty, but the one that I thought of right away when you said that was abundance. I think a lot of times we think that, hey, somebody's already done that before. Somebody's already a real estate agent. Somebody's already got storage units. Somebody's already got a moving company. Somebody's already got whatever you're looking to get into, whatever your dream. Somebody's already got a podcast. You could have looked at that and said, oh, there's millions of podcasts out there, so why should I start my own? But there's an abundance. I mean, you'll never fill up the expanse of this universe. You'll never do it. There's so much, and because everybody's different. You have a different personality, you have a different story, and you have a different dream that you could go deliver and touch the hearts and lives of somebody else, that somebody else can do. And we're all designed that way. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's not just whoever's on this podcast, right? It's anyone. We all have that unique ability. So I think that just abundance mindset is key. It's a key point that everybody needs to understand and work towards.
Powerful, man. Yeah, I love that. So the next question is around clarity, right? So especially, like you have clarity with your wife, you have clarity with your life, with your business. So like, what is, I think you probably already answered this question, like planning, but like, what is a tool or a strategy or something that you do to make sure that you always have clarity in your life, with your wife, with your business, and everything? So like clarity.
Yeah, to step aside from planning and to answer something different, it's religion. And I don't care if somebody's Buddhist, Muslim, Catholic, Pentecostal. I was on the airplane the other day with a guy that was an entrepreneur. We sat next to each other. We were talking. He was raised Pentecostal, and now he's non-denominational. And we were just talking about how, it doesn't really matter what you do, what you believe in, as long as you just have that relationship with God, and it is the most important thing in your life. I think that brings clarity. I think that religion and believing that there's a higher power greater than yourself keeps you humble and allows you to want to be more like that person. For me, it's God, right? I want to become more like my Heavenly Father. And that gives me clarity in life when I make decisions that I want to be a better person. So when you go in and out of the day and you have decisions to make, you kind of have that, what would Jesus do, right? I mean, I know that's like the primary answer, but it keeps you safe. It keeps you grounded, brings clarity.
Nice, man. Cool. So is there anything that you do to like be connected with God?
Yeah, we include it in our daily lives, right? So in the morning, when I wake up, one of the first things that I do is read my scriptures. So I
Cool.
start my day off that way. I read my scriptures every single day. It's a non-negotiable. I also read a chapter out of a business book, whatever business book I'm going through, other than Audible, and then I get to my workout. And then at night, as a family, because I wake up earlier than my kids do,
Mm-hmm.
as a family, before the kids go to bed, we have rituals there. We either read out of something that's scripture, we
Together?
play a video, yeah, together as a family. And we
Yeah.
either that or we play a video that's all about centered around Christ, centered around just Him in general. Because kids, I mean, we're 2 and 4 year olds, so they're just digesting that right now. But and then church on Sunday. That's also a non-negotiable. We go to church. That's what we do. Our kids know that. Like, oh, it's Sunday, we're going to church. I mean, they know. They tell us, right? So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that we do to stay grounded, and I think they're important. I think they're important in people's lives. I don't think you can get as much at the lake or out riding on the dunes as you can at church. That's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people don't share that, and that's okay. But for me, that's the way that I stay grounded. That's the way that I make sure that I'm staying on that path and making sure He's the most important thing in my life.
That's cool, man. Uh, you're living intentionally. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I got to share this really quick. I wear this dog tag. You just said it, and it says "Live intentionally." I wear it even when I go to bed, and it has my name on the back. That's my mantra, man. Live intentionally, just in everything that you do in life.
Intention, man. So there's this saying, action without intention is nothing, and intention without action doesn't mean anything, right? Yeah. Like they should go hand in hand. Intention, man. I'm so like in love with that word, because that's something that I didn't have growing up. Like there was no intention. Like it was just, and like my parents did, like the best that they could with everything that they had, or with the circumstances. And probably if I had gone through their same circumstances and everything that they went through, I probably would have behaved the same. But like there was no intention, never, right? And so like that's something that I'm intentionally wanting to put in my life, intention, right? So yeah, that's really powerful. Let's see, the last question. No, the next question, mindset map, motion. So a habit, man. What is one habit that you do, that you have? You've mentioned a bunch, but another habit that is part of you that has contributed a lot to your success.
No, it's cool. I'll pull out I keep my planner right by me all the time. So I have one of the sections is what habits am I working on, right?
Cool.
Right now it's, working out is my number one, right? So it's a non-negotiable that I work out 6 days a week. And I have goals of how long, specific goals, right? How long is that? What am I doing that day? I have an app. It's a fitness culture app. Steve Cook developed it, right? I know exactly what I'm doing that day, whether it's arms or legs, and what kind of arms and legs, right? I know before I even start the day, I review it the night before what I'm doing, right? Living intentionally. So that's one. And the other one is just eating healthier. And that's one that we're working on currently. It's way harder than working out, is to eat healthy and being intentional about what you eat. That's one of the things, because I don't want to present myself like I got it all. I'm this perfect person. That's bullcrap. People are lying if they say that. So one of the things that we're working on right now, Corinne and I, is being more intentional about the things that we buy and the things that we cook and the things that we eat. So we're right in the process of that. So that's another thing that I wrote down to answer your question.
Cool. Yeah. And it starts with buying, right? Being intentional about the things that you buy, because if you buy healthy food, well, you're going to cook healthy food and you're going to eat healthy food, right? But if you buy unhealthy food, well, that's where you're going to eat. So yeah, cool, man.
Yeah. One thought real quick, if when you're stressed and tired and you don't want to cook, if you don't have a plan already, that's one of the things that we talked about, Corinne and I. If you don't have a plan already set up for dinner, you're worn out, the kids are worn out, you're tired, you've been stressed all day at work, and you come home, you're going to go down the path of least resistance. If you don't already have a plan of what you're going to make for dinner that night, you're not going to do it. because you're burnt out. You're at the end of your rope. So you have to be intentional.
Same thing with your business, right? If you don't have your schedule, if you like you mentioned right now, if you don't schedule the next day, if you don't schedule tomorrow today, you're going to most people default into their day, right? With no schedule, nothing to do, and like they go ahead and start doing the things of least resistance, which most of the time that means checking social media, checking email, or nothing, doing nothing, watching Netflix. I don't know, right?
Yeah, so, totally. You know, that's a good point, dude. It's a principle that applies to every aspect. I agree.
Exactly. All righty, man. The last question. So mindset, map, motion, measure. I have this framework: mindset, map, motion, measure. If you get those 4 right, you get the money, which is results across all areas of your life, right? So I asked about mindset, map is clarity, motion is a habit, and then measure. Measure is measuring and tracking, man. So can you talk about the importance of measuring and tracking in your business, KPIs? I don't know, all of that stuff.
Measuring my business specifically, not just life, but business.
Well, I always ask about life, but I don't know why I got the like the feeling I should ask about business. Yeah, like measuring and tracking in business. Yeah. Maybe in life, if you want in life, you can go ahead and talk about tracking and measuring in life as well.
Yeah, well, in business, I remember when I started out in business, I was the worst. I literally was just like, let me just go work hard and the money will come. Okay. And I think a lot of us start there, and that's good. But if you don't know your numbers, you don't know how to scale. And that's something that I've become more intentional about. And then one of the easiest tools, just getting QuickBooks. I mean, that's one of the easiest. There's so many apps out there now you can plug in. Where's the money going? And that's one of the easiest ways. So there's really 2 things. It's where's your money being bled out to? Where's it going? And then 2, how do I make more? And a lot of people will just focus on one or the other. We all know those people that shop at Goodwill and the DI, and they only buy from yard sales and stuff like that because they're so focused on being cheap, but they're not focused on earning more. I think you need both. And then there's other people that are just like earn, but their monthly bills is like insane, and they're just buying crap. It's like, well, you don't need to earn that much if you just kind of watch what you spend it on. So I think wealthy people, truly wealthy and happy people that live a fulfilled life, have a little bit of both. They're able to track both of those. And the first suggestion for me, where I was bad at it, was just getting QuickBooks. So I
got QuickBooks 2 months ago, and I've been paying the 3 months ago actually, because there's been 3 $80 bills, and I'm like, oh fuck, and I still haven't made the time to like go and use it and learn it and connect my accounts and all of that. But I just got it, man, and I'm looking forward to start getting better when it comes to like, where is my money bleeding out, right? And then the other thing you mentioned was, if you don't know your numbers, you can't scale, right? So like, if you don't know, like, to get one sale, if you don't know how many, I don't know, calls you got to take to make one sale, and then to get that amount of calls, how many people do you have to call, and then how many people do you have to reach? Like, if you don't know the numbers that are required to like get one sale, like, you're not gonna know like how much, like, it's not going to be predictable, right? And you're not gonna have control. So that's why it's important to like track and scale, track and measure, to like be able to have control. And then if you want to scale, well, you just know that you have to, like, double the numbers here, because if you double the numbers here, it will reflect here, and then it will reflect here, and then it will reflect here. So, and then when I say here, for those of you who are watching who are listening to on podcast, like, when I say here, I'm like doing gestures, so you might have not understand, but yeah. So, man, yeah, that was really valuable, man. Thank you very much for being here with me and having this chat. I had a blast. I had a very good time. And so, like, for anyone who wants to know more about you, or you have, I didn't get to ask about this, but on your Instagram you have $20 million club. So, like, what does that mean, really quick?
Means in 12 months I was able to produce $20 million in volume in real estate. So sold $20 million worth of real estate in 12 months. So that's the $20 million club in my industry. So it puts me in the top 5% of all real estate agents in Southern Utah.
That's cool. So, do you help real estate agents, or are you mentor or anything like that?
Yeah. So I have a team. We actually started it this year in January, and we've already grown it to 4 agents with another 4 that have committed to coming on. They're just finishing up getting their license. So we're rolling already. It's February. I guess actually it's March 1st today. So we've now broken into March and we're off and running. So I think that's a major key to fulfillment in life, right? Again, backing up is being able to give that value to other people. So it's just a natural step for me.
Cool, man. So I have all your links, but like if any, I don't know, real estate in Utah that listens to this, or any real estate, aspiring real estate agent wants to like know more about you or connect with you or whatever, like where can they find you, man?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. Eric Gubler, Gubler, ERIC. That's how you spell my first name. Check me out on Facebook. You'll see my profile with a realtor sign below it. And then in Instagram, it's just @eGubler, Gubler. And I would love it if you sent me a DM. I'd love to chat with anybody. I have people reach out to me almost daily that are asking questions about either entrepreneur, becoming a real estate agent, or just any of the above. And I love that. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome, man. And well, thank you for being here, man, for an episode of the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with me. And for any of you who haven't subscribed to the podcast on like Apple, Google, Spotify, or on YouTube, please do so that you are notified whenever another life-changing podcast episode drops. And one thing that I want to say, man, is that I don't know if you agree, but like the fastest way for you to level up yourself, your life, your marriage, your business is for you to start surrounding yourself with people who are the definition of where you want to be.
100%.
And like that's what I'm doing with my podcast. I interview the type of men who I want to become like, who are 10, 15, sometimes even 20 years ahead of me on their journey. And because of that, like I'm coming across opportunities that are going to allow me to get there in 1, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? But it's collapsing decades of time for me. So one of the ways that you can do that is by starting a podcast, right? Like I started this podcast, it changed my life, man. I'm literally achieving goals that I thought I was going to achieve in 10 years this year. So it's been life-changing. And for anyone who wants to start a podcast, there's a link in the description of this video, of this podcast. Special link just for this episode with Eric Gubler. That goes to a free training teaching people how to start, grow, launch, monetize, and automate a podcast, and interviewing the type of people that they want to be like in 10 years, so that they collapse the time that it takes them to become successful, happy, and fulfilled. So there's a special link down below, special just for this episode. And I just wanted to mention that, man. If you wanted to add anything, feel free.
Hey, man, I just appreciate you having me on your show. Alex, you're awesome. It's been fun to jam with you today and kind of get to know you a little bit better, and love to meet you someday. I know we've never met in person, just over social media and this, but you're an amazing guy, and I'm one of your biggest fans now. I'm rooting for you. So I want you to go all the way to the moon.
Thank you, man. I wish the same for you, and I'll see you later.
Okay, man. Okay, thanks. Talk to you later.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms